Donald Trump's got the world's sort of thickest skin about anybody who disrespects him, but is so insulting to everybody else, of course. We're very familiar with this now. But I mean, the truth is, this Stormy Daniels case, the case about paying hush money to a porn star, it's very unedifying. It is pretty sordid, let's be honest. It is as old as the hills.
And now I hesitate to say this, but Donald Trump is facing potential indictment and arrest over his alleged payment of hush money to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Now, if he's found guilty, he'll be the first US president in history books to face criminal charges. Barricades are being set up outside the Manhattan criminal courthouse with the chance of protest. Well, let's talk to Sarah Baxter, director of the Marie Colvin Center for International Reporting. Good evening, Sarah.
Hello, Henry.
Now I was sort of chuckling when I said I hesitate to say this, because I was just looking at the intro and I was about to read it out. And then I just thought to myself, yeah, potential indictment and arrest. But he was spinning this last week and we expected action to be taken on Tuesday. I mean, he said this on Truth Social. It didn't happen. Then we waited for Wednesday. It didn't happen. And it's now Thursday. What on earth is going on?
Well, I think we're all asking ourselves, have we been played by Donald Trump?
Not for the first time.
Again, yes. And, he managed to whip everybody into a frenzy, predicting his own imminent arrest. He has since gone about fundraising about $1.5 million in his coffers, thanks to this. And he's gone on the warpath against potential rivals for the Republican nomination, principally Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, for not being supportive enough of him. So Donald Trump has had a pretty good week, really, while the pressure now is on Alvin Bragg, who is the district attorney in Manhattan, to put up or shut up. The only thing is, if he does put up, and Donald Trump really is indicted, we could be moving into a much more serious phase for Donald Trump, because there are a whole series of other court cases waiting in the wings that are potentially more catastrophic for Donald Trump. But honestly, he's such an escape artist. He could wriggle out of all this again and twist it to his own advantage.
Which is why, I suppose, Alvin Bragg is hesitating, even though he's incurring the wrath of Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who want him to be prosecuted.
Oh, yes. I mean, the chance are now to lock him up, Alvin Bragg, never mind Donald Trump. And, Donald Trump's got the world's sort of thickest skin about anybody who disrespects him, but is so insulting to everybody else, of course. We're very familiar with this now. But, I mean, the truth is, this Stormy Daniels case, the case about paying hush money to a porn star, it's very unedifying. It is pretty sordid, let's be honest. But it is as old as the hills. I mean, their alleged affair, which Trump denies, I must say, Stormy Daniels says she's got the receipts, was supposed to have happened in 2006. Threatened to come to light in 2016 when Donald Trump was already being accused of being somewhat morally challenged, shall we say. Didn't stop him winning the election. And then, has sort of emerged as sort of noises off ever since. But honestly, nothing's happened. I mean, it's really extraordinary to think that this has sort of been on the sort of, chuntering away for almost 20 years. So it's like, and I really want to see what happens with the other cases. I want to see what happens with the case of the mislaid, deliberately or not, classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. I want to see what happens to the incitement to a coup on January 6th. And these are the sort of really fascinating cases, but I don't deny that, whether the case of whether or not Donald Trump paid hush money to a porn star is pretty damn interesting.
Well, it all plays into this atmosphere of chaos, which he likes to create, doesn't it? Because he thinks he's at his strongest when all around are losing their heads.
Yeah, he's never happier than when he's attacking people. He thinks that bigs himself up as a fighter, which it does. It means that his supporters think not only is he tough on his own behalf, but that he'll be tough on their behalf. That might be a more moot point, but that's the impression he conveys. He conveys the fact that he's going to fight as hard, on your behalf as he does on his own. And he makes other people look like relative weaklings. I always think back to when he was a wrestling promoter in his casinos. I mean, he didn't do the.
I remember that.
He loved to go on stage and say, "This is the greatest fight ever, and these are the best ever," and the opponent is some weakling. I mean, it's the same old technique, and just proves what a great huckster he's been all his life, really.
Yeah, and when it comes to potential rivals, and of course, the prince over the hill, Ron DeSantis, who gave an interview to Talk TV's Piers Morgan this week, in which he shifted his position on Ukraine. How fair is the wind behind him at this point?
Well, it's sputtering. I mean, it looks like Ron DeSantis is weakening. Now, that doesn't mean he can't come back, particularly if Trump is indicted. He has a point in his favor, which, he said to Piers Morgan, he's the sort of no drama candidate. But people have rather liked the sort of entertainment spectacle of Donald Trump. So no drama sounds a bit boring. I mean, Trump today has unleashed a furious diatribe on Ron DeSantis' record as governor of Florida, accusing Florida of being, one of the worst performing states in the country, which is a bit of a stretch. But, he really does take no prisoners, Donald Trump. And Ron DeSantis hasn't even declared for president yet, and is finding it as hard as everybody else to sort of, beat Donald Trump. He's trying to play kind of rope-a-dope, the old Muhammad Ali tactic.
Indeed. Rumble in the jungle.
Yeah, but let your opponent take a swing at you till you get exhausted. That's the sort of tactic. Then come out, May, June, declare officially you're running. This is DeSantis's dream, and then blow Trump away. But in the meantime, Trump is doing a pretty good job of defining Ron DeSantis as not all of what he purports to be, more of a rhino, Republican in name only, surprising for someone who seems to be a conservative hero. But Trump doesn't mind sort of slinging the insults, and they seem to be working because DeSantis's poll numbers are going down.
Wow.
They can come back up. The race hasn't even officially begun between him and Donald Trump, but Trump really is having an extraordinarily mesmerizing effect on the Republican Party base. That said, his national poll numbers are pretty poor.
They are indeed. One area in which he managed to shore up his base was in his frequent attacks on China. He called it Kung Flu and all these appalling names. And the Chinese Communist Party and a very famous company executive, or a TikTok chief executive, was grilled today on Capitol Hill. Just a quick thought, just about a minute on this. How did that go?
Well, the interesting thing is that Donald Trump's so persuasive and cows his enemies so much that he's persuaded the whole Democratic Party as well that China is the enemy. So you saw today congressmen and women united, Democrat and Republican, a rare sight, united in ganging up on TikTok, grilling the poor CEO for 5 hours and accusing him effectively of being a stooge for the Chinese Communist Party. It didn't go well for TikTok.
I can imagine, but still, I don't know how many huge numbers of Americans are glued to it each and every day. Perhaps even you, Sarah. I don't know. Thank you very much indeed, Sarah. I'll be checking you out for TikTok later. Director of the Marie Colvin Center for International Reporting, live on Times Radio.